Alright. Alright, so we are back. This will be a recording. And done. Obviously uploaded at a later date. But Taipan here in the lead. Not going to have the most accurate timing here, Rody. So you will have that on hand. So we'll be leaning on you quite a bit here in this one. But Taipan currently in the lead. Ben Hall right behind. Peter Throw in third. Coxie into fourth place. And having a look for third here. As well as Kemp looking to hold off Termo. And Steve Warwick also looking like he's making a move there in ninth place as well. But Coxie here, Brody, looking the goods early on.
Yeah, so good start from Coxie. Also good start from Berkey as well before he ran himself wide down at turn 4. Pete Thoreau as well had a brilliant start off the line and could have easily gone for the front row or the top 2 spots into turn 1, but probably the smart move from him. He's not sort of really championship material or championship contending material this year, so he backed off. But no, some really good racing so far. It's given Taipan a chance to break away off from the lead, and that's probably the best you can do from pole, sort of from pole in the reverse
Kemp in the wall. He's sort of caught out with cars in front of him going a little bit slow. The chicane. And looks to fight another day. He's going to send it straight away on Warwick. No, but we'll just cut to a replay of that. So running on board Darren Kemp here, and a bit of a cut there, and just lost it on his own.
And he's just gotten to the back of Braxton Stankley.
Alright, so again, cut to another replay here. This is like real life supercars. Replays for replays.
The racing, oh dear.
Yeah, so bit of contact there, and oh dear. Yeah, that's cut to an onboard of that one. Oh, he's gone for the inside again, and then just straight up the back of him.
Okay, I am expecting there to be a safety car at some point in this race because Kempy and Braxton just tried going too wide through turn 8, and that went about as well as you think it would go, and they were lucky not to collect Scott Murrell in the process.
And yeah, there we go. Looking at the replay, it's just a replay here still, and oh dear, oh dear, and then yeah, there goes Braxton, and yeah, look.
So I think in the same response that we took at Calder Park for what was the most boring past the lead, let's look further up the field where the racing is hopefully a little cleaner.
Well, while that's going on, you're going to have to talk through the action because I'm going to log in as admin for a second.
So yeah, so if we're looking up through the field now, we're looking at I'm personally looking at Termo up in P6. He's got Steve Warwick up on the back of him, and then Pete Thrower back in P8, getting a bit of a train for himself. Termo was very uncharacteristically him in the first couple of laps. He ran wide or got a big squiggle coming into turn 4, and ended up staying down the inside of I think nearly 2 cars. Got to the back of Berkey, but he just about got away with it. I'm just seeing in the chat as well that Isaac Edwards is out. Him and his dad are the same place, running off the same internet over in South Australia. Up through the field now, a bit further up, we've got Taipan still leading with Coxie in second, and Lockie Burke now running around in third. Ben Hall actually up to fourth with Ricardo already carrying up to 5th, and then we look back to that train behind with Termo and I think it is Steve Warwick, and then a couple of cars back behind them. But a pretty energetic start for a couple of these guys for already up to where he's at, and you're back into it.
Yeah, we are back. So I've gone out and handed 10-second stop-go penalties, and these penalties there'll be other penalties added on for the shit that went on there. That is unacceptable driving from both of them. But good racing here so far for Brad Jones, 1 and 2. I'm trying to think if we've had a 1-2 for a team this season. See, Taipan's got a long way to go, and so does Coxie. But Lockie Burke putting Cox under pressure here. With Ben Hall, as you say, doing a very good job. Dane Liccardo not too far away. Termo in 6th. Steve Warwick also doing a really good job here in 7th place. He's actually moved up a couple of spots in the last couple of laps as well. And then we have Peter Thrower, Justin Cecil, Cheese, and Matt Cecil.
Yeah, so I was saying earlier, good stuff for a couple of these guys, and good to see them getting up through the order. Taking full advantage, especially if they're starting at the front, finishing at the back, starting at the front of those reverse top 10 starts, actually making full advantage off of it. And yeah, hopefully some of these guys now, they've got a race under their belt in terms of the tyre wear. They know where they can push it. Braxton, up until this point, I was hoping to see him on softs, but he has now decided to step out of this race after receiving a penalty. So we're going to see how that plays out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I expect now most of the front runners will be on softs, but will be conserving them a little bit. I can see, I'm watching Justin Cecil at the moment. He's got Cheese and Matt Cecil behind him, and Cheese already starting to light up the rears like he was doing in front of Coxie that last race. And remember, I don't think Cheese managed to make his tyres last the whole way through, so that's something he wants to avoid if possible. But, nope, slight contact with the wall. Oh, double contact with the wall for Cheese. He's clipped the inside and then got the outside, and somehow all four wheels are still on his wagon, which is a surprise.
And Ricardo's able to get himself ahead of Ben Hall and actually get by, I think, Turmo as well at the same point as well. So Ricardo now up into 4th position. And got yellows out in the final sector there. So
Expect somebody pitting. No. All right.
There was a bit of smoke there, so it looks like there may be lap traffic a little bit further down the road. But Cox now in the lead with Taipan in 2nd, Lockie Burke in 3rd. A little bit of a gap to Ricardo, but I would expect Ricardo, of course, the race 1 winner, to close up onto the back of that pack. But he's got a bit of work to do if he wants to win race number 2 here. Obviously, he's got his protagonist from race number 1 right behind him in Turmo. And he's also going to have to close down and get by Lockie Burke and Taipan if he wants to get after, of course, Daniel Cox, the championship leader and the current race leader.
Yeah, so if Turmo, we saw him pushing up on the back of Dane very hard in that first race. Although he did end up falling off towards the back end with his tyres. So Turmo, I don't know, he needs to be able to push harder, but also not push harder. He needs to drive faster, but drive smoother, or at least drive the same pace, but drive smoother and make his tyres last a little longer so he can push a little harder at the back end of this. But yeah, Turmo's in a position at the moment. His best hope is to just sit up onto Dane's mirrors and pressure him, because Dane wants to be getting further forward, but he can't fully focus on what's happening further forward if he's got Turmo all up over the behind of his big mate BF.
And Burke and Taipan duking out for 2nd. Also saw, it's like I think Matt Cecil may have had a bit of an adventure in the background there. Just cutting to replay. And it was, once again, Ben Hall has not done himself too much justice there. Just, the fence, and unfortunately cars with he's reversed back and then just driven forward again. So he's given cars nowhere to go. And that one a little bit more...
He was in an awkward spot there because he was nearly blocking the track, and it's quite a narrow section there. So
is a little bit more forgivable than the race 1-1, but
yeah.
When you do start moving, it doesn't make it easy for the guys that are coming onto the scene because they don't know where to go.
No, at the bare minimum, you need to be predictable in those situations, which even means sitting still on the racing line is easier for people to avoid than if you're trying to get out of their way and then not out of their way and just being a bit indecisive.
And Coxie there, very, very defensive on his way into the hairpin. For whatever reason there. And then he's sort of driven away in the next couple of corners away from his teammate Taipan here. So may see, we are seeing some extremely defensive driving from Taipan here, but perhaps some team play involved here at the moment. But Taipan holding on. And, looks like Turmo's around at turn 3.
Oh.
Yeah, a bit sideways there. Thankfully, he's in a fairly safe position, and he'll be able to 3-point turn it out of there without affecting anybody. But that's dropped him down to 9th place behind Justin and Matt Cecil. Pete Thrower up into 6th. Steve Warwick now up into 5th place, so he's having a good run at the moment. And Dan Liccardo, not too far off the back of that pack. He's just biding his time, I'd say, at the moment, saving his tyres. He isn't too far off the race lead. Of course, he's got to behave himself if he wants to race the Enduros later on in the year.
Yeah, so there's that in his mind. He is still, remember, might still be within range of championship points, but like he's in a good position now because he gets to run his own race, doesn't have a cart behind him pressuring him, and he's got Berkey in front of him racing with Taipan, and just these two are going to be wearing their tyres. Probably more Berkey than Taipan. Taipan can kind of choose his line through the corners, and he can choose to be non-committal on the tyre wear, but he's getting the big hurry up from Berkey at the moment, so Berkey's obviously pretty confident with where his tyres are at, although that's interesting because Berkey lost, I think, 4 or 5 spots to his tyres in the last lap of the first race, so I don't know, maybe a setup change or something. I don't know what Berkey's done in his tyres back to where he needs to be. No, that was, yeah, it's interesting to see how this plays out. I'm just a little flustered with Berkey running the pace he's sort of seems to be running, just like how his tyres went off in that first race.
At the same time, though, he's running in the 1:20, so while he is trying to get his way into second position, I do reckon he's also saving his tyres as well, because he's not really giving Taipan a massive hard time at the moment. Taipan isn't making it easy for him, as we see Burke now trying to make the move, and he gets the job done. A little bit of contact, but up into second as Taipan some 11s coming out of the hairpin. As see the second Walkinshaw car getting out of the way. Zach Brown able to make it for this one. But just having a look at live races to get my live timing info. So we're about to, well, go over the halfway mark here. And
yeah, so far we have had. Sorry, I'm just going to. Since I've got the live timing on hand, we have had 3 DNF so far. Isaac Edwards, you mentioned early, he had pedal problems. Braxton stepping out after the early incidents of this race, and Scott Morrow as well, who jumped this night. I think just for a bit of fun racing, he was tied up in some of that stuff as well, and he's also elected to jump out of the race tonight. I don't think we'll see him back, unfortunately, but so we're down to 20 cars, just the one car being a lap down, which is Zach Brown, who we saw dropping back through the leaders about half a lap ago.
So now we may see Daniel Cox's true pace. I do believe he was sort of tyre saving there in race number 1, as he got Taipan and Liccardo side by side here into turn 8. Will they live to tell a tale? Liccardo backs out of it and
smart man.
Able to avoid an incident. They both get through there safely. A little bit of lock up there for Taipan, but yeah, we may see Daniel Cox now just start to put the hammer down a little bit and just try and edge himself away, but he's not battling Lockie Burke for the championship, not battling Taipan for the championship, and Dane Liccardo, I think, 4th or 5th in the standings, so he's not really one that's, you know, one of the front runners for the championship, so he's not really battling him either. So Coxie from here can just take it a little bit easier. Doesn't have to race at 10 tenths, but on his last lap, setting the fastest lap of the race. So certainly was just taking it easy on his tyres for the first half of the race, and they've extended a nice handy gap to Taipan now. But he doesn't have to go balls out to win this one. He's got bigger things on his mind at the moment. So I think the next big battle here, Rhodey, is going to be for 5th place between Steve Warwick and Peter Thrower, with also Termo probably going to close those guys up later on in the race if he doesn't have any more sort of spins there at turn 3.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Taipan can buy in the back of this. He's certainly got, I think, some lap traffic back to be able to get past, which will be Zach Brown. Yeah, he's a bit interesting to see. Pete has some good pace in the first race. I believe he was running on the softs. He was changing it, coming up on the back of the train. Didn't catch a lot of Steve Warwick's race in that first one. He's managed to luck out from some of the stuff happening around him, and he's managed to survive. He's up 7 spots off his start, so he started in 12th. He's sitting in 5th, which is a pretty good run for Steve Warwick. I think the best we've previously seen him would have been at SMP last round, which is one of his home tracks. But no, he's running quite well, so yeah, I reckon they're going to close up in the next couple of laps. But yeah, I've got nothing left to say at the moment, so I'll hand it back to you.
The 2 leaders have just dipped into the 1:19s, and they're almost 2 seconds faster than Taipan and Liccardo. And Liccardo's made a mistake. He's down the escape road at turn 4, and there's another position for Taipan and sorry, not for Taipan, but for Steve Warwick and Peter Thrower, and he's even lost out to Turmo as well. So that's vital for Turmo to gain as many points as he can here. He's trying his best to catch up to the back of Peter Thrower. He did set a purple sector in that last lap of his, a 1 minute 20.1, 1.7 faster than Peter Thrower in front of him. So he's got a pace advantage, but he is running out of time. He's got 5 laps, or 4.5 laps really, to close that down. But that's made life very easy for Taipan now, Rody. And now it's going to be a very interesting battle for the podium, because Steve Warwick was edging a little bit closer towards him as well in that last lap. He was 0.3 faster. So could see a battle for the podium, or we may see Taipan just take it easy as our leaders come up to the back of Kemp and puts a lap on him.
Yeah, this does change the complexion of the race a little bit with Ricardo. It's effectively out of the podium finishing spots here, because Taipan, it is now pretty much a tie up to Taipan on whether he finishes on the podium here. The other thing as well for the 2 cars behind, if they catch each other and start racing each other, then they're going to hand it to Taipan. But if they catch each other and then work together, and a bit of, I wouldn't say bump draft, but a bit of tag teaming on each other down the back straight to really bring out some good lap times, they can run in the back of Taipan and then possibly both get past him in the last lap or two. But looking pretty stable the podium right now, but I don't think it's locked in yet.
Certainly isn't, and would expect Lockie Burke to try and make a move on Daniel Cox at some point. If his tyres last, of course. Burke's tyres did fail in race number 1, of course. But on that last lap, Taipan 3 seconds, pretty much 3 seconds, good part of 3 seconds slower than the 2 leaders there, Taipan. But doing all he needs really to get a podium. And Warwick doing all he can to close the gap. So on that last lap, Warwick it's only a 10th faster, but it was Turmo who closed quite a bit on those guys, and even Peter Thrower. He was a good 8/10 faster than Steve Warwick on that last lap. So may see all these guys just sort of come together at the back end of the race. And I've also got Ricardo sort of in the mix there as well. But Burke right behind our race leader.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for Berkey. My argument again earlier in the race is where he's at with tyres, and I think it's the biggest thing for Berkey, having seen what he did in race 1. But I don't know, the way he's driving looks like he's confident on his tyres, or he's just in an inverse way trying to put himself as far forward as he can because he knows his tyres are going to blow, and he's just trying to sort of offset that as much as possible. I don't know, possibly that. He has been someone who's been up the front with Coxie into the tyre conservation, tyre strategy races.
Here we go, going for the switcheroo here. He's not
going to have the room there. No, he had to let Coxie back. He didn't have to, but he chose to let Coxie back through there. So Coxie's going to hold on for another couple of corners at the very least. Berkey's next run, reasonably from where he's sitting, is going to be maybe down towards turn 1 if he can get a good run out of this last corner. He gets to apex a little late, which gives him a straighter exit. A bit of a wiggle there from Coxie, and
he had a poor exit. Cox had a poor exit and actually had to cover. And Burke, they're having to get out of it there into the first chicane. It's actually compromised him. He's not going to have that run to turn 4. Really, you can't really pass into turn 1 unless the car in front is probably a car length or 2 ahead, gets a pull run, and you've got the momentum and are able to get by. You've got to try and set up for 4. Burke didn't quite think that far ahead, and it's cost him as he's sideways again. But these guys are going to duke it out to the finish. And Taipan lost a second on that last lap to Steve Warwick. As they're both wide there, both Burke and Cox, but Burke almost into the fence there. Not sure if there was a lockup or a little bit of oversteer in the mid corner there, but nowhere near the apex, and he's in the fence there. He's backed it in.
I think the way that car's behaving, I'm going to see here through this corner. No, maybe not. Maybe. Yeah. No, okay. The way it was behaving, I thought he'd already blown his left rear, and it wouldn't. Oh, okay. He's got to be pretty marginal in his tyres at this point. If they're not blown, he's pretty close to popping at least one of his rear tyres, the way that car's behaving right now.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with you there. Every time he turns right, his rear of the car is stepping out quite a bit, and you can see him fighting the car on the exit of the final corner here. So he's probably got no tyre left at this stage, so we may still see a Brad Jones Racing 1-2, but he's got Steve Warwick closing in on the back of Taipan. And we still have Lockie Burke there in second. But again, as it just cuts in there right out sideways at turn 3. But Warwick doing a good job. He's got the hurry up from Peter Throw and he's picked his pace up. He's gone from the 22s to the 21s. I sort of need to because they have Turmo coming at about a second a lap faster, as well as Dane Liccardo as well. Oh no, but Warwick's gone around at 4, and Thrower's done actually a really good job to go around him, just as it was starting to sort of fall into place there for Steve Warwick. So we'll just see if he's just taken too much curve or if he's just lit it up there. So he's struggling on the way in. No, just lost on the way in. I don't think he's got the rear tyre left there. But poor Steve, down to 7th place now. As Liccardo, he's right on the back of Turmo, and Turmo trying to get to the back of Thrower. And Taipan is just, well, cruising along at the moment very, very slowly. I reckon Taipan may be one that's struggling for tyres here. He's got his lights on. And also got our race leaders coming up to some lap traffic as well. But Taipan not travelling too quickly at the moment. In fact, all our leaders, reds and oranges on live races.
Yeah, so they're all backing off now in the last couple of laps, just making sure they get there on their tyres. Daniel Cox has taken the win. Lockie Burke has managed to survive for second, although the way the car's behaving suggests he was pretty close to popping a tyre. It does leave Taipan coming home for third. Dan Liccardo is redressing.
As he may have, I was looking at another car there, so didn't see what happened there. He sent it up the inside of the final corner. Oh, and there was lap traffic in the way. There's a Red Bull. And I think he's slowing because he thinks he caused an incident with that caused Turmo to spin. But I'd probably say doing the safe thing there. But if I'm perfectly honest, I don't think he was at fault anyway, because it's not really his fault that there was a car that had been spun around in front of him there. But that is not good for Turmo's championship. And well, Steve Warwick getting those positions back also helps Matt Cecil out as well. And Peter Throw, I believe, was the one that may have spun, no, he would have been the one that spun in the final corner, because Bracken Stancliffe, of course, was out of the race. So, yeah, a bit of an awkward finish there to that one. But also saw Justin Cecil coming home in 7th, so I didn't say that initially. And then Cheese home in 10th, Freakish in 11th. Lockie Lock home in 12th, Josh Watson 13th, Ben Hall home in 14th, Emerton home in P15 with Aiden, and Brian Walsh 16th and 17th, Kemp home in 18th, Higginson home in 19th, with Zach Brown in 20th position, with Scott Murrell, Stancliffe and Isaac Edwards all non-finishers. Alright, that'll be the end of the race number 2 broadcast. Of course, we will upload race 3 and race 2, as well as race 1, all in separate parts, just like last time. So there will be another stream. Catch that on the YouTube page. Anyway, we'll be back with race 3, probably in about 15 minutes' time.